You cannot afford to miss a single moment of the next hour. Get ready to have your ideas about sexuality, love, and relationships blown wide open. It's time to get educated, entertained, and enlightened, as well as sexually empowered. You have now tuned into the Tantra Love, Sex, and Intimacy Show. Now, here's your host, Tanya Diamond.
And and that's me, and here I am, and here we are playing with Sam. We're playing with Sam because we have technical things that are happening. You know, the thing about radio, especially live, is that it always adds a tiny bit of reality and excitement to it. Like, you really never know. Like, last week our guest didn't show, you know, and which is not too hard, I guess, because all it means they didn't call in.
Right.
And but tonight ours did. And let's see, can I hear you, Joshua? Talk to me for a minute.
I can hear me.
Oh, wow, I can hear Joshua now.
All right.
That's groovy. Okay, so I can hear everybody, so that's groovy. Because, you know, lip reading was going to make it really...
You'd have to translate the whole time for me.
And now Joshua is saying... no, he's eating fries. So actually, tonight we do have a guest, and I know it's been a while. I did wanna take a moment or two before we introduce our guest and say that, wow, having a book is an interesting experience.
You thought the work was done?
Well, I mean, it's like I don't know why people think I'm so important now that I have a book. I mean, not that the stuff that I knew like a minute before the book, and like then now the book,
right?
Like I'm different. So I put out these inquiries. Yeah, well, there's these people that are looking. It's, by the way, everybody, it's called HARO, H-A-R-O, and that's, you know, help out a reporter type of thing. And I'm on this email subscribe list. And so maybe 4 or 5 times a day I get to send a response to somebody who's looking for an expert for something.
Oh, cool.
Like, you know, okay, and we're looking for somebody that can talk about dating. Now we're looking for somebody who can help moms have more intimacy in marriage. Now we're looking, and so each one of these that I respond to does take some time and effort because I need to respond to them specifically about that thing, like 5 tips, blah, blah, blah. So each one of these could take me, and I'm really pretty quick.
You are fast.
So it could take me like 15 minutes, which, you know, most people, that's like an hour maybe. And so 15 minutes each of these, but that's probably an hour and a half of my day that I'm responding to these inquiries about people looking for interviews or whatever, looking to interview somebody. And so I put them out there. Before my book, I would put out like, you know, for every 100 that I would respond to, I would get 1. Right. But you do it because that's part of getting known and okay, that's it. Now, I have a book, and I'm not even telling them I have a book. In my signature line, it says author of Beyond Sex Tantra.
Right.
I get almost every single one that I put out now. It's just it's crazy.
Like somewhere in the universe, has she written a book? No, don't want to talk to her.
Yeah, I know. It's like, okay, book, you're gone. And so, like, crazy stuff. I mean, I've been on the radio, other people's shows now for just, I mean, I talked about Tiger Woods and sex addiction. I've talked about, you know, keep getting intimacy back in your marriages to a couple of moms that were talking like this on the radio, and they were all just so excited, like 2 moms, soccer moms. And, you know, it was crazy. And I'm telling them what I want. And then the one mom says, oh, well, I don't know if we're going to be able to, I guess we're going to have to put a little tag in front of this show because we like moms to listen to it when they're driving to soccer practice. The kids are going to be in the car. Oh, but that's what you were talking about, that the kids should know that the parents are having sex. Wait, are they supposed to know that the parents are having sex? Anyway, it was
way too much thinking.
It was like a crazy interview, but a lot of fun. And so this morning I actually interviewed Max, and I are going to be video filmed for a documentary. And I was going to actually talk to you about this. They're looking for people that have been sexually abused that are willing to be seen on, you know, and videotaped for a documentary on sexual abuse.
Right.
And it's a group that helps teach schools. They go out and do 100 workshops a year. And, you know how bad I am at names. I've actually forgotten who they are. But I'll put it on my Facebook. They go out.
It's confidential.
Yeah, I know. It's like, well, no, they actually teach these workshops, and it teaches parents how to recognize what a sexual offender will do to your children, like how they groom them for certain things.
Wow.
You know, things to teach your kids to not, like, know secrets. Like, you shouldn't, you know, if somebody's telling you to keep a secret, or if you tell your mama about this, I will hurt her. You know, these type of things. So you help teach your kids. So it's education for parents and a little bit for kids about sexual abuse. And so that's awesome. So I'm willing, you know, to step up and be part of this experience. And Max has been the only man that has stepped up that will do this so far.
Really?
Now, men, this is so hard.
It's a big issue for most men.
Right. And the fact that they're going to be seen and this might be national, could go TV, whatever. And I was telling the woman, you've got to give the men a break, and you've got to tell them that you're willing to shadow them. And if they'll even
you
talk,
allow some sense of confidentiality.
Yeah, I mean, if they have to, if that's the only way you can get them out there, then do that, because this is something where men. It's so like men just don't talk about it. Men rarely heal from it. They don't talk about it. They don't deal with it because there's so many weird issues around. Usually it was a man that molested them. So the man-on-man thing freaks them out. And so I just want to say, really, really, really proud of Max for stepping up and being willing to do this. He's not ever talked about this much, just to our group and stuff.
Very courageous. And the self-healing that it really enables is amazing.
Right. So I just wanted to put that out there. If there are any men out there in the Seattle area that are indeed have been sexually abused and are willing to step up, please get a hold of me, because they're going to be filming this pretty soon. And really, we need courageous men to step up so that other men can follow in that suit and get the healing. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. And we have a fabulous guest this evening. And her name is Jean, and I'm going to let Jean introduce herself fully and tell us who she is, what it is she does, what her thing is. And hi, Jean.
Hi, Tanya. How are you? And thank you for having me on tonight.
Perfectly fabulous.
Welcome.
And
so I'm Jean Adrian, and I created a healing modality or a clearing modality. I don't know. Healing kind of makes a lot of people uncomfortable, I think, to talk about it that way. So let's just say a karma clearing tool.
And that doesn't make them uncomfortable? Karma clearing is more comfortable than healing?
I think ever since Boy George sang about karma, it's been a little bit easier to deal with.
Okay.
I thought mostly anything that Boy George talked about became its own issue.
But so basically I developed this tool, and what it is, it's like a language for the soul.
Oh, I like that.
It enables you to hear what's going on, what your higher self is trying to communicate with you, because the truth is your higher self's talking to you all the time. You just don't know the language necessarily. We kind of think maybe it's our imagination, or it's just noise in our head, or we aren't listening at all because we're watching TV or we're listening to our iPod or whatever 24/7 and not listening to our intuition or our gut feelings or whatever. So this is like a language, and it's accessed by muscle testing, because the body won't lie.
Right.
Chiropractors have known that for years, basically since the 50s, and it's been a tool that's been used in the chiropractic and the osteopathic world since the 50s. And so I use muscle testing to access a protocol book of 144 files of information, and each of these files contains sentences or phrases or words, and basically what we do is we just let the body of the client through muscle testing say, okay, well, so Tanya needs to know the 35th piece of information on page 92, and she also needs to know the third piece of information on page 111, and it goes on like that until we weave together a story that defines exactly what it is that's holding you back in any or all areas of your life. And once you've defined it, and you know where it came from, because it takes you to the source where you actually set this block up, then you just clear it away. And at the end of an inner speak session, whatever it is you chose to work on is gone. And a lot of times, just because I'm curious, I'll ask the client, I'll say, so how do you feel now? And they'll say, wow, I feel lighter.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they just dropped a ton of baggage.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And so that's what I do. And I teach people how to do this work all around the world. In fact, I'm getting ready to go back over to Europe and going to be teaching in Holland the end of April and the first half of May. And that I've written books about it, and I do meditation CDs, and I've developed a deck of cards called the Inner Speak cards so that anybody can do this type of thing on themselves just by playing with the deck of cards. People who don't want to take a class, they're both in physical cards and they're also online in an automated form.
So let me be clear. Inner Speak, so that's INNER Speak, as in SPEAK. Yeah. So is that innerspeak.com would be your website then?
It's inner-speak.com.
Okay.
Yeah, when I decided I wanted to have a website about 10 years ago, somebody had already bought InnerSpeak.
Yeah.
So I had to get creative with that one.
Yeah.
And back in those days, they didn't have the .biz and .org and .net, you know.
You wanted the .com anyway. I do a lot of internet marketing. That was your better choice. So good job.
There you go. And they can also find me on jeanadrian.com. It all points to the same website.
Okay, fabulous. So, so what you're saying then is InnerSpeak is a modality to help us clear things that are holding us back. Using muscle testing,
and one of the areas that that I get a lot of work, a lot of people come to me and they want to work on are the areas of relationships and sexuality.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it's not crazy. That's where I was talking last week about how insane it is that all these life coaches and all these people that help people never address sexuality. It's like, I tell all my friends that do healing work of different modalities that it's always about the sex. It always ends up somewhere along the line that sex wounding, sex esteem, lack of any of these types, I can almost take everything back to sex.
Well, in my work, it's all sex. That the sex stuff is all second chakra.
Yep.
And to me, and to the InnerSpeak work, that equates to not only sex but also money and creativity.
Right.
And so if one of them is messed up because of wounds, then generally two or all three are going to be messed up.
I mean, we're whole beings, right? I mean, so whether you believe in chakras or not, and for those people that are like, what's a chakra? Just energy bodies within the body. Remember, thinking of frog in the throat, or you can feel it in your guts, or tight ass, something like that would be the first chakra, which we consider tribe, finances, and family. But so if we're full humans and we have all of these beings and we have sex organs and we have all this, isn't that weird that we like to compartmentalize everything and only and it's like, let's just work on our heart and above, like, okay, as long as we're all like doing the love and the thinking thing, we're fine.
You mean not deal with real issues or the dark side of our soul?
Well, I don't even think the dark side, the dark side down there, that's a little dark.
Well, passion and power and rage are hand in hand.
Yep.
But I think I have this thought, I guess, that the Chinese, the Taoists, when they developed that Yin and Yang symbol, to me that's the most perfect representation of what it is.
Yeah.
Because each of us has the light and the dark, and in the middle of our lightest light is the dark, and the middle of our darkest dark is the light.
Right.
And anybody who doesn't think they have a shadow side is in for a huge letdown when it does catch up with them, and it will.
Yeah, well, I mean, why it's you can't. Yeah, it's impossible to actually have, one without the other. If you look at the universe, you have sunny days and you have cloudy days. You have beautiful, tranquil moments and you have complete chaos, and everything is the same. So now, there's a lot of healing modalities out there, and we understand we're not really using the healing modality or unblocking modalities or all of this. And, we're drawn to these, or we create these things from our intuition, right, from our own experience. What was it? What brought you to doing something like this? What brought you in your life to going, okay?
Well, guess what? It was a healing crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an anger management thing. And, I guess I've always been on the path of kind of being healthy. And so for many years, I worked with a naturopathic doctor, and every spring she would organize a cleanse, and we would sit around, for a day kind of learning about how the body works and how best to support ourselves for a month-long cleanse, and we would do this in the spring. And, as part of this, we would kind of all go out to lunch for a nice vegetarian lunch, and we were sitting around the table and talking about, okay, well, what's the weirdest thing you've ever done, as far as like spiritual or metaphysical or, whatever, alternative. And, everybody kind of had their stuff that they wanted to lay out on the table, and I was just kind of sitting there fairly naive, and I'm usually quiet. You can believe that one, right? And, and this woman said, well, man, I go to this energy worker, and he changed my life, and that got my attention. And I said, well, who is it? And she gave me the guy's name and phone number, and I wrote it down in the back of my checkbook register and probably forgot about it. And so life was going along kind of crazy, but I was noticing that I was having a real hard time keeping the lid on. And it was mostly bothering me at work. And you got to know, if you ever have met me or know me very well, you know that I've got the world's longest fuse. I mean, it takes an awful lot to get me ruffled anymore. Mm-hmm. But back at this point in my life, everything was setting me off. And I was having, somebody would hurt my feelings, and I'd go home in tears. I'd have to go home and wash my face, put on my makeup again, then go back to work. And it was getting to, it was really wearing my car out, actually. One of the men I worked with told me, don't ever come in my office again,
Wow.
And I blew up at an accounting clerk over a $10 discrepancy for one of my customers. And I lost it with her, and, I was yelling at her on the phone, and, she was yelling at me, and I just finally said, F you, and hung up. And as soon as I did that, I was like, whoa, I don't talk like that at work. I might do it at home, but, I try to, maintain a professional business demeanor. And I just allowed this woman to pull me down to her level and lost it on the phone. And I thought, that's just not me. And it was like the light bulb went off over my head, and I remember that man's phone number in the back of the checkbook register. And I called him up immediately from the side of the road. I was sitting on the side of Interstate 20 between Augusta and Atlanta and crying because I was just so upset at myself that I had been so hateful on the phone to someone. And so I called this guy up, and I went to him for energy medicine. I didn't even know what it was.
I would think that's fun.
That's what really started me on the path. After one 1-hour session, my anger issues were gone, and they haven't come back, And so eventually I asked him to teach me what he did, and so I started learning kinesiology at that point. I learned a form of clinical kinesiology from him and did that work and was doing it for a while. And then the inner speak work began to come into me, and it came in through channel, and I didn't even know I could channel.
Yeah, isn't that the weirdest thing?
Yeah.
When you do something you don't even know if you believe in.
Exactly.
There you go.
Well,
like, wow.
And it has to do with past lives, and I for sure didn't believe in past lives.
Yeah, you and me both.
I had been raised in this, Methodist family, and, I really went crazy in college and became Episcopalian, right? So that was one of the more radical things I ever did,
right.
But I was very, extremely fundamental in my beliefs, and I did not believe in past lives.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until the stuff started getting in my face, because it started coming up when I was working with people doing the inner speak work, and eventually it was like, wow, this seems to be a very prevalent theme in all these people that I'm working with. I guess it must be so. And boy, you open that door just a little bit, and the universe just comes in gangbusters, and all of a sudden I started finding all of my past lives. Maybe I don't think I found them all yet, but I started finding lots and lots of my own past lives, to the point that I actually, at this point, have some conscious memory of other lifetimes.
Wouldn't it be nice? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. No, that was really what I was going to say.
Would it be nice if, the pathway to the soul had one of those look-through holes, like in the front door, you've got a hole that you could look through to see who's standing there? So that before you open it up and everything in your life starts flowing through. I don't know if I want to open the door for you today.
Now I have, an interesting thing. I've learned, for one, to basically, believe in everything. Because how in the world does my limited knowledge in my head encompass everything in the universe that could possibly be, right?
Oh yeah.
But what I tend to tell people, and I used to work with animals when I was in the closet about what I did. It was safer to work with animals, and being a hardcore science person, I didn't do any of that woo-woo stuff.
Right.
But when people would come to me and say, my horse and I have been in a past life together, and I was kind of like, that's fine, but right now we're in this life. And we need to.
What the truth is right now is all there is.
Right. And so I would say, you know what? I appreciate that, and that's great. But right now, your cellular memory and your body and we are here. So let's focus on this. And the interesting thing that I found out with doing that, and still not negating, what they thought, what I thought, was doing that and still bringing to the present was actually ended up healing things. So a lot of my clients, and I don't know, we all do these different things, and I don't know if you've found this or not, but sometimes my clients have used past lives and other things as a distraction to step into the now. They're so focused.
Well, that's exactly what I found.
Okay, yeah, they're so focused on this other thing that it's like I'm trying to bring them into the now. So can we talk a little bit about that, what you think about that?
Yeah, because like I said earlier, that right here, right now is all there is.
Right.
But I do believe that we perhaps exist in multiple dimensions at the same time.
Yeah, that's what I think.
And so past life or future life or whatever, it's all playing out right now.
Okay.
And so sometimes it's a way actually to work with the ego, because, my ego might say, well, I never would have raped someone, but we've all done it. At some point in time, we've all done it in some aspect of ourselves. So if the client can look at it like a past life or like an ancestor did it and get to the place where they can examine the big picture and the consequences of the action and do the forgiveness work necessary to release the wound, then what does it matter if it's a past life or if it's an ancestor thing,
right,
or if it's something that happened last week?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's, I don't get to talk to a lot of people about, when I always tell everybody, the woo-woo stuff. It's like, what do we believe in time and space? I keep bringing my clients back to the here and now and saying that if we heal the here and now, we're also healing everything there is to heal. Like you said, everything is happening now across the dimensions. This sounded a little bit to me, I'm a timeline therapist as well, and it sounds, the shock for me was when I was doing timeline therapy and they ask you, so, think back to when this feeling you have first happened, right? And you're supposed to just say whatever comes to your mind. So 10 years old, 3 years old, 5 lifetimes ago, whatever, right? And I was so shocked to be in this meditative state, and somebody asked me that, and I said 10 lifetimes ago, and here, and a non-believer, that was really funny. That was hilarious to me to actually stand there and say that.
Yeah.
So I say that, if you're listening to this show and you're, it's pushing up against your comfort zones, like you're going, oh my God, they're talking about this stuff that just makes me go, I can't believe any of these people anymore. It's one of those things where, why not? I don't think Jean and certainly I and Josh would ever say that we want to take anything away from you, like take away your belief system, maybe, There's a little NLP for you. We're not going to take away your belief system, but perhaps add another point of view.
Yeah, and one of the things that I found is that just about the time I think I understand anything, I realize, wow, it's so much bigger than that.
Right.
And that just keeps happening. And it would seem to me like lately consciousness is just growing at such a rapid pace that it's almost like I have one of those aha moments momentarily. And I was going to say daily, but it's more than that.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that almost on a daily basis, I am learning that the concepts that I had thought in my limited beliefs are so much different. And I could almost tell you that the things that I believe today bear no resemblance to the things that I believed even 5 years ago.
Well, that, I'm telling you, that is for sure for me as well, because the more I open and the more I expand, the more I receive in every aspect that there is. And I was saying just to a group last weekend when I was teaching that, it used to be that people like you and I were definitely considered freaks as early as, maybe even 6 or 7 years ago. When I would teach a class and I would say, okay, does anybody here believe in energy? And, half the people would raise their hand and the others would look at me like, And now anymore, I walk into a class and, I'm now one of the cool people because of Oprah.
They all nod your head. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I got you. I got it. Yeah, we don't have to talk about that.
I've got this witch doctor at home. You're cool.
Yeah. So we've, we people, these people, us who have been, on this road or doing this or, daring to speak these words that other people raise their eyebrows at, are now considered, sought after, almost mainstream, wanted. Let's go talk to the energy worker. Like you said, this energy worker. Let's go talk to this person that does this or that. People are seriously searching. They're seriously searching for something. We're in trouble. We're in serious trouble in the world. I believe that we are bankrupt way worse than economics. I mean, I've talked about there's 40 million sexless couples, 78% of men cheating on their wives, 61% divorce rate. It's just things are out of control.
And people don't have any place to turn to. All the places that people have always turned to in the past that helped them in the past are not helping anymore, or they're non-existent, or their insurance won't pay for it. Whatever.
Right. Exactly. Their insurance aren't paying for it, right? Yep.
Yeah, and so, used to be that, when people would come to me and they would want to avail themselves of my services, and they would ask me, did I take insurance? And I would say, no, insurance doesn't cover what I do. Well, now insurance doesn't cover what anybody does. From a medical standpoint, you go try to get, some sort of a procedure handled by your insurance. You find that out pretty quickly. So it's like those of us who are doing this kind of alternative work are now actually coming into a place where people are finding us because they have no place left to turn.
Well, that and they've tried, by the time people get to me, and probably you as well, they've done all the quote-unquote conventional therapies. They've right. People get to me, they've been in therapy for 12 or 13 years or whatever. They've been in marriage counseling, they've been this, they've been that. And, they're kind of exhausted their possibilities. And a lot have tried, the workshop routine, the self-help books, this, that. But like you, I think what I do is an integrated experience. We're made up of more than just our minds, more than just our physical body, and more than just our energy. And so unless you're aligning these things, which is, and I want you to say what muscle testing is for people that don't know what it is, but unless we're actually aligning these things, unless we're working on the physical, on the emotional, on the mental, and on the energetic, we're missing a part.
Well, and it doesn't fix,
right?
Until you work on it and on all those levels,
right?
And one of the examples that I use when I teach is that, if you have a problem, a physical problem, and I'm going to use myself as an example. So I did an awful lot of clearing work over the holidays. I got really vigilant about wanting to just move through fear and not have fear be part of my makeup. And so I was doing inner speak work on myself. I was doing other energy work. I was doing just, meditation, prayer, you name it. I really devoted that whole time during the holiday season to cleaning my act up because I really wanted to start 2010 off on a very, very clean place. And you got to be really careful what you ask for, because what I didn't think about was that fear was one of the big pieces of the foundation of my reality. Mm-hmm. I've been living in fear all of my life.
Most people are.
And for Lord knows how many lifetimes before that, right?
Yep.
And, so when you start, when you put sticks of dynamite in the foundation of a building, that's what they do when they want to demolish it, okay?
Right.
And so here I was doing that same thing to myself and ended up making myself sick.
Yeah.
The next thing I know, I've got a gallbladder attack, if you will. I flare up. I don't know.
There's some anger, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Anger with the
exactly.
fear. Yeah.
So I've got this pain, and actually the pain was in my back. It wasn't in the front where the gallbladder is like you'd think. Mm-hmm. So I went to my chiropractor, who's very enlightened, and she goes, Jean, sorry, but this is not your back that's bothering you. It's your gallbladder, and you're going to need to clean that up. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. So I started doing gallbladder cleansing, and up to this point, I didn't realize the body could hold so many gallstones. I mean, I've done so many rounds of this stuff, probably past 90 gallstones.
Wow.
Nice job. Way to go.
Wow, that's
but
intense.
That is, that's old stored resentment.
Yeah.
And old stored anger.
Yeah.
And, I let my body be the battlefield. And I know there's got to be a better way to do that than that, but these are examples of the fact that I had a physical thing, and sure, I could have gone to the doctor and had them cut my gallbladder out, and that would have taken care of that, and, in 2 weeks I would have been back to, whatever. And people do that on a daily basis, but you can remove the gallbladder, but if you haven't removed the emotional and the spiritual and the mental components of that, then it will come back.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in the gallbladder because they've taken the gallbladder out, but in liver disease or in some other manifestation.
Yep.
So you have to start with the other levels, I believe, first.
Yep.
And clean up the emotional, the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual, and then the physical will fall into place with it.
Now, people get upset, and I understand that there are people going to get upset when I say this. And, part of my job in life is I'm a catalyst. And catalysts can upset people.
Yeah, there's a pot a little bit.
So, I've actually cured myself from 3 incurable illnesses, and so I don't believe in the word incurable apparently. And when and one of them was fibromyalgia. And, fibromyalgia is huge, and getting bigger by the moment. Yes. As this takes over. And it wasn't until I actually sat down, I've got an ebook coming out on this, by the way, but I sat down and said, why me? And not why me like, oh my God, victim, why me? I mean, it started with that. Oh, right. Why me? Ah.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it turned into, why me? Why me?
Give me some information.
Right. And I started looking at all the reasons that all of a sudden I couldn't say yes to things, but I had to start saying no. Because it hurt too bad or I couldn't do this. And I thought, wow, isn't that curious that my body had to go to a complete shutdown? I mean, it had to be in such trauma and pain that I physically could not continue with my life the way it was. Wow, what's that about?
That's about a lot.
I know. So I got rid of all my friends. I got rid of I changed everything in my life.
You realize how much it takes, the courage it takes to actually do that?
Well, I either had to kill. This is what I said. I told my doctor when he said, "Okay, that's it." I went in and he goes, "Wow, you're doing pretty well." I'm like, "Pretty well." So, I can't sleep. If I work 20 hours a week, when I work, I sit and cry in my car for 2 hours before I can drive home because I hurt so bad. It's like everything hurts. My clothes hurt. Everything hurts. I can't do anything. And if I have to live like this, I will kill myself. So here are my choices: cure or death. These are my choices, and I need to figure it out. I had somebody wrap me in cat urine. I mean, I was willing to do anything it took to figure this out.
Sure.
And then the why me, and I thought, okay, if I'm living my life in such a way that my body has to rebel, I need to figure some things out. And so I am happy to say that I have been free for it's been like over 12 years. And so I do consider that a cure.
Absolutely, and good for you.
Thank you. And when we come back from this short break, we'll talk a little bit about people's resistance to wanting to get better, because I'm sure you run into that quite often.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll be back in just a moment with more stuff.
I'm too sexy for your party, too sexy for your party. The way I'm disco dancing. I'm a model, you know what I mean, and I do my little turn on the catwalk.
Are you one of the 40 million sexless couples in the U.S.? Are you wondering why having sex leaves you feeling lonely? Are you suffering from the myths of sexual dysfunction? Do you know in your heart that there has to be more than what you're currently getting out of making love? To rid yourself of sexual ignorance, get more out of your lovemaking, and find out more about spiritual sexual connection, then you need to check out www.thetantrateacher.com to receive your free copy of the ebook called Secrets of the Tantra Teacher. Don't suffer another minute without the sexual loving and ecstatic bliss you were born to receive. Get to www.thetantrateacher.com right now. That's www.thetantrateacher.com.
Is your sex life non-existent? Do sexual dysfunctions leave you soft? Is internet porn getting more than you are? Or are you paying more attention to porn than your partner? Have you tried talk therapy and it got you nowhere? You are not alone. You can be freed from sexual shame, guilt, and dissatisfaction. A visit to the Tantra Teacher is in order. Call now and mention you heard the Tantra Teacher on the radio and get a very special offer. Stop waiting for a miracle and call right now. 206-276-2735. Phone consultations or in person will get you the information you need to be successful in your love life. But you have to call now. 206-276-2735. Stop making excuses. Call the Tantra teacher. 206-276-2735.
Now is your chance to be part of the show. Call 877-230-3062. Call in with your questions or thoughts and talk with the host and their guest. Again, that number is 877-230-3062. Did you know that you can rate this show on iTunes? The show you're listening to right now. It's true. You can leave your thoughts about the show, the topic, the guest. You can even leave a suggestion. Then, before you leave, rate the show. The hosts love hearing from you, so next time you download this show from iTunes, leave your thoughts and rate the show for the host and for others.
I'm too sexy for your party.
No way I'm too sexy for my body. I might be too sexy for this mic. But I don't know. This mic is pretty sexy.
But the song says.
I have to say.
And when I sing that song, I feel pretty intense.
Yeah, do you? Yeah, I like to run around and sing that song in public. So, well, before we left on the break, we are talking to Jean and we were talking to Joshua and they were talking to me. And we were talking about, why it is that, we're talking about a lot of things, but our recent topic is why it is that people can be resistant to healing. Now, you gotta figure, I just said I was healed from fibromyalgia. Mm-hmm. Fibromyalgia is huge. It's painful, people. I mean, I consider 10, a level 10 pain, breaking my leg with my bone sticking through it and having to walk 5 miles back to my car. Okay, that's my level 10.
That's pretty bad.
That's intense.
Yeah.
All right. So I was living in like an 8 or a 9. So bad all over. Not just the leg with the bone, but like an all over cellular experience, right?
Yeah.
So it's intense. So I know people have some pain. I hear somebody talking about fibromyalgia. I walk up to them because it's so hopeless. When the doctor tells you, this is it, babe, it's incurable, we don't know anything about it, you're going to have to take all these meds, whatever. And I go, hey, look, hey, I had fibromyalgia. And they're like, oh, yeah, tell me. No, I had fibromyalgia. Oh, you're in remission. No, I'm cured. Oh, no, my doctor said it's not curable. Look at me in the eye. I am free. I am cured. I no longer have fibromyalgia, and I haven't for 12 years. Oh, well, maybe you didn't have it. Oh, yeah, because that's so much better. That's so much more hopeful than thinking that maybe somebody got better.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I found that people, especially with fibro, and I'm sorry you people out there with fibro, you got to hear me. You got to hear me on this. You're going to be really upset. I'm sorry. But you know what? A lot of the time we needed it. I needed to have the fibro because so
many people are not willing to change the way they think and their life to be healthy.
I needed that 2x4 in the body. So, Jean, people aren't always wanting. And you would think if somebody said to you, "Oh my God, I was cured," that I would have. If when I had it, I would have been all over that person.
Tell me what you did.
That person would not have been able to walk out the door with me, not tagging them, getting their phone number, wanting to talk. People don't even ask me how.
Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, people, my thought is that people get really invested in their drama.
Yeah.
And it's an addiction. It's absolutely an addiction. It's no different than cocaine or alcohol or cigarettes.
They feel special when they have it?
That's part of it. But, I think it's probably just like any addict. They can't see how life could possibly be without whatever the addiction is.
Or is it even just...
Again, it's about survival. You have this pain, but you've survived another day or another day or another day. And so you can't let it go because it's familiar to you.
Well, to me, even some of it has to do, when I look at it frankly, it's like some people finally have the excuse that they wanted not to have to do the job they hate, not to have to do all the housework, not to have sex with a partner they don't want to have sex with. All of a sudden, when you have a diagnosis of fibro, you all of a sudden have freedom that you may not have been able to have before because you didn't have the power to say no.
Right.
Or to change what you wanted. And now you have an excuse or a reason.
And And that really is, I feel, that really is the underlying inappropriate belief behind fibromyalgia, is the inability to say no.
Right, and I completely agree with you. You know, mostly type A personality type of women. And so people out there with fibro, you listen up here. I had fibromyalgia. This is not somebody talking to you that's saying, oh, you know, we're all accountable. I believe that we are truly accountable for the things that happen to us. I have had heinous things happen to me, okay? And I am willing to stand up here and say, you know, that I and something I did in my life was causing that. And that is the reason I'm standing here, sitting here, whatever I am today, without it, was because I had the guts to turn around and look at what I was doing in my life. You know, I was crazy. I was making huge amounts of money, working really hard, didn't feel successful because in my world, success was like living up to something my dad or mom thought I should be doing.
Right.
You know, I would take on everything. I was crazed, and I wasn't really happy, but I didn't know it. That was the weird thing. You know, I was happy, but I wasn't really happy. Right. And, you know, I hadn't dealt with a lot of the stuff. But you were saying earlier that, you know, maybe one day you won't have to get, you know, hit by pain. I ended up with vestibulitis after that, which is a inflammation of the vaginal vestibule, which is supposedly incurable, and nobody knows why it happens. And you can never have intercourse again. You can't use tampons, underwear hurts, and here I am. I'm the flippin' sex goddess, people.
Right.
I'm the Tantra teacher, and now I have this thing that tells me I can't ever have sex again? What's up with that?
Yeah.
Well, what was up with that is I was in a super toxic relationship, and immediately after it was left, I was cured.
Really?
Yeah, how weird is that?
Interesting how that happened.
Yeah. He was gone, I was cured.
Might actually have to change your life.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, Jean, so you offer some people a way of a process to actually get that clearing.
Yeah, and I like that word. It is a process. And I don't do anything. All I do is show the client the clues, and give them some ideas and let them do the work. Because the only person who can heal is the person themselves.
Right. So tell me about...
You or I can't do anything to, and that's why I kind of have an issue when I say that it's a healing modality.
Right.
Because it's really more of a communication tool.
Right. I like that. A communication tool works. So what about, tell us what muscle testing is for people that don't know what muscle testing is.
Okay. So muscle testing was found or invented, I would have to say, back in 1952 by a chiropractor by the name of Goodhart. And he was doing adjustment, and he found that he could kind of work with the body, and the body would communicate with him and tell him where the patient was out of adjustment. And he did testing on the upper deltoid muscle, which is the shoulder muscle, and he would have the patient hold their arm out, and he would press on their arm. He would say, "Resist my pressing," you know. And that's what muscle testing is. It's a show me yes or a show me no.
So pretty easy.
Yeah, it's very simple. And so because I have clients all over the world, obviously I can't pull on your arm, right?
Right.
So I just muscle test on myself because we are all one. And I set the intent. If I was working on you, I'd say, you know, Tanya and I are one, and I'm muscle testing on myself. But in my intention is that I'm muscle testing Tanya's energy. And I just do show me yes, show me no, so I can see what's a yes answer and what's a no answer. And then I just let your body dance through my book.
So that's cool. And if somebody wanted to like test something out with their friend or something like that, they could do that. And what I've seen that happen, tried it out. I've one of the successful things I've seen is like looking at a fluorescent light. Have you used that test before? So fluorescent lights aren't really great for us. Most of us are not happy under fluorescent lights. So if you grab a friend or yourself, usually a friend helps because a friend can muscle test you, and, you know, do that, putting your arm straight out, holding your arm there as hard as you can, and you know, closing your eyes and, you know, pushing down on the arm. There's whatever your strength level is. And then open your eyes and look up at the fluorescent light and try it again. The arm's a lot weaker.
Yeah. You know, the pushing on the arm and using the upper deltoid ends up being a kind of subjective way of doing things because you have to learn to read the person's arm.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't just hang off of it.
How I teach it, it's a real simple way. I tell you to take your non-dominant hand. So I'm right-handed, so I'm going to take my left hand and make a little donut with your index finger and your thumb.
Yeah.
Very, very gentle, like you're holding a feather.
Like okay, the okay sign, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And then take the index finger of your other hand, in this case it's my right hand, and put it in the middle of the donut up against the place where you've joined your index finger and your thumb.
Right.
And so what you're going to be doing is you're going to be trying to press your finger out through the join. So the first thing you do is you ask your body to show you what is yes, and then you press.
So
and when I do that, my finger will not break the join between on my left hand between the index finger and the thumb. And if I say show me what is no, and I press, my finger pops right out.
So let's try this. So we've got two okays. We've got the okay that's tight on the left hand, and then we put the right hand through the left hand okay and make another okay. Right?
No, well, you can do it that way, yeah.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
just ask your body to show you what's yes.
Okay, body.
And
show me
pull.
a yes. Okay. And show me a no. Oh, that's interesting, yeah. So I get the same way you do. I get the yeses doesn't come through and the no comes through.
But, it switches. It's not always the same. So when I'm doing an inner speak session, I'll check before I ask a question.
Right.
Just to make sure, that I'm reading
that you
the
got the right
client
yes and no, yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So here's the deal. Here's the deal as well. This is all really. It's not really voodoo. This is our own subconscious, our own inner, and our higher self, as you say. Lots of people have different words, but we're actually in charge of this. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, and so if people get scared and say, "Oh gosh, somebody's going to be doing something to me," even like with hypnosis, which I do, and all of that, it's not. Nobody's ever doing anything to you. You are confirming. When you use a pendulum and you want to check out a yes or a no with a pendulum, you're really subconsciously you're in charge of that as well.
Absolutely.
So you can clamp down on your fingers as hard as you want and make it not happen if you don't want it to.
That's true.
Right?
And you could use a pendulum to do the inner speak work. It's just that the pendulum is a little bit slower. You've got to wait and see which way it's going to spin.
Right.
And so with this show me yes, show me no thing, you can rip through the book really fast.
Okay, so there are some different tools that you could use with it, and these are all just guides. These are just ways of our body, our energy, ourselves speaking to us, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? If I had been awake intuitively at the point in time where I started doing this work, I probably wouldn't have needed inner speak at all. I would have just listened to my higher self and been able to get the full picture and know what needed to be told to the client, et cetera, But I was so shut down, Tanya,
right,
that, all my life I'd wanted to be a psychic. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. But, it never quite happened for me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I started trusting the muscle testing that I began to open up to my psychic gifts. And now, I'm a psychic as the next one.
Well, I was going to say, because it was not opening up to the muscle, trusting the muscle testing was really trusting yourself.
Right.
And so
that is the bottom line.
Yeah. And this is where what it all comes down. I've been empathic my whole life. And, as a child had an amazing intuitive gift to look at people and see their fear. And, I was raised with a very, very serious, very conventional, very, non-woo-woo, non-kind of family. Though my father did learn voodoo in Haiti and my mother did read tarot cards, but we didn't talk about.
That's a lot more unconventional than mine.
But aside from that,
yeah, right.
We didn't actually talk about those things.
Parlor tricks, entertainment for
right,
friends.
exactly. My dad would do magic, but yeah, exactly. And my mother said her mother was born with the cowl, type of thing. But but like I said, these things weren't really talked about. It wasn't serious.
What a bummer when a gift like that in a family
wouldn't have been fun.
It's just not talked about.
I know that would have been pretty outrageously fun. But so
I'm here thinking, oh man, I wish I could have come and spent weekends at your house.
I know, and I would have been like, truly 4 super intelligent, really whacked out people, because we were all too smart to be sane, I think, or something, whacked out. My dad dealt with it with alcohol. My mother was manic depressive, and we all dealt with it in our
own special
our
way.
little special fun ways. But I think that it's an interesting thing, that trust of self, because I didn't trust that all my gifts were real. I thought I was crazy. I thought I had the legacy that my mom had. And so whenever anything like that happened to me, I would just go, and I'd go to another shrink and say, check me out. Like, I don't have many psychiatric evaluations I've had in my life, and all of them telling me, okay, if you need me to find that you're crazy, I suppose we could do something about that.
And I dealt with it by becoming the queen of disassociation.
Ah, yeah.
And just like not being in my body.
Well, you know what? You know for sure how many people are not in their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
It's like insane how many people are not in their bodies out there.
If you're not in your body, somebody else is trying to get in.
Well,
just in terms of, okay, no, we don't believe in past lives, so we don't believe in entities either.
No. But I mean, to me, that's a fear. But, when people they get scared if I'm not here, somebody else. You're in there. Yeah, you're just checked out.
There. You're still tethered to yourself.
And if you're checked out, you can't do what you came here to do when you incarnated on this planet.
Well, you can't even do any basics. I mean, you can't even feel your love. You can't even make love with abandon. I mean, come on.
No.
So even if you don't believe in fulfilling your destiny, at least believe in bliss and great pleasure.
And you can't find it unless you're, if the lights are on and nobody's home, then nobody's having bliss.
Yep, that's for sure. So we've got about 4 minutes left. Tell us what you want us. Tell us how to find you again. And
okay. Well, my website is Jean Adrian, JeanAdrienne.com or inner-speak.com. And check it out. I also have a radio show. It's every Tuesday night on Voice America at 8 o'clock Eastern Time or 5 o'clock Pacific Time. It's called Inner Speak Soul Adventures, and we talk about a lot of this kind of stuff,
Awesome.
The adventures of the soul.
I like that. Adventures of the Soul. How cool is that? Yeah. And you teach workshops.
What it is,
Yep, and you teach workshops and you do private work so people can go to your website and find out about what it is you're doing and how to do some of this clearing stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I teach people how to do this clearing stuff all over the world. In fact, in Kennesaw, Georgia, this coming weekend, I've got a basic Inner Speak class.
Awesome. And, so be brave. I say to everybody, go check it out and tell them tell Jean you heard about her on the Tantra, Love, Sex, and Intimacy show, where we dare to boldly go. Anywhere, because we go there.
We have gone before.
That's right, because we always believe, what do we say, Joshua? Because we go there. That's right. And I will thank you so very much, Jean, for coming on and sharing with us. And we're always happy to learn about different ways to get to the bottom of it, basically, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And
that's what it's all about. When you can get to the bottom of where you shut it down, that's the place where you've got the key that fits in the lock and opens it up.
Yay.
And that's where you find your freedom.
Yeah, because it's about freedom, people.
Absolutely.
It's about freedom. It's about freedom, man. Everybody open your windows and yell, I want to be free. Stand up and shout it now. There are so many people that have tools to help you. If you have the courage to reach out and find one, find a few, find some things. But here's the deal. You know what? All of these things work if you're willing to do the process. And let me tell you, how many people go to workshops, read half a book, go to something, and 1%, 2%, 10% at the most actually follow through on anything. So I want to tell you right now, if you're going to go do a workshop, and I don't care whose it is, and you're going to pick up one more book, you're going to look through one more program, do it and pretend you're going, or not pretend, do it and pretend it's the last one you would ever do, and actually follow the process. Follow the process. Even stuffing envelopes will make you money if you actually followed the process, okay? But we don't. We'll read it, look at it, put it down, and quit taking action. I don't care how much affirmation you do. I don't care how much anything you do in this world. If you don't take action, you're still sitting on the couch while the rest of us are living extraordinary lives. Right?
Well, and that's about the gusto. One of the wonderful things that my mom taught me early on was that if something's worth doing, it's worth doing it right.
Yep.
And that's the Dalai Lama.
Yep.
He talks about Dharma. And experiencing every moment, every second of every moment, and experiencing it to the fullest. So don't let it miss you. Don't let it pass you by.
Yep, we need to rock it. We need to get up. And if you find it almost impossible to get up, I'll tell you, just do one thing different than you've done before. Move your leg off the couch, and then move the other leg off the couch, and then get up, because that's action, all right? You take it every day if you actually move. So move in the direction of where you want to go. We're done. Thanks, everybody. We got 20 seconds. We're out of here. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank
and
you, Tanya.
March
Thank you,
23rd, 24th, you're going to be going to BeyondSexTantra.com. Go there now, get signed up, because you can win a 7-night stay in Hawaii if you buy my book, Beyond Sex Tantra, on March 23rd and 24th. BeyondSexTantra.com. Get there now, and see you next week. We're out.
You have been listening to the Tantra Love, Sex, and Intimacy Show with your host, Tanya Diamond. Visit our website at www.tanyadiamond.com. That's TANJA for more information on workshops and classes.